오호. 이게 바벨이 펄스 붙이다가 죽었어요.
또 모았죠?
예.
炸裂处理掉，但是这里面也交了印象加自我绽放一波雷火直接。
Yeah, that's going to be the wall coming up, and they did not corner check to spot Blister around the side. Shatter going to be dropped in, manages to find a couple targets in the cleanup.
看龙这个阵容目前是很难打的，看看人家可以这一个
抢后排
打算要给谁？
Fairness
抓到机会，击杀在海里。
而且原始暴动来的太快了。
Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Overwatch League. I am Achilles, back on the cast after what feels like an eternity, alongside Wolf. Wolf, I know you had your little stint last week with ZP, but I'm back to claim what is mine. You are my casting partner, and he can never have you again.
ZP is always just trying to sneak in and steal me away from you, but I'm glad you're back.
Me too.
You know, I'm not glad you're in America, but I know you'll come home soon, so I gotta wait patiently. At least we get to link together through voice, through the internet, and
it's true.
Cast this match.
You and I haven't. We've talked over text and whatnot, like group chats and that kind of stuff, but we actually haven't really interfaced since I made the journey over here to North America. But, you know, got my stuff taken care of, got my marriage visa application in, so shouldn't be too long until I am back in good old South Korea. But we have some Overwatch matches to go ahead and take a look at. Starting off, it's going to be the Shanghai Dragons on one side. We'll go ahead and take a look at their starting six as they get ready to collide against the London Spitfire.
That's right. Shanghai is starting their Championship 6, the ones that they have found the most success with. Fleta, Lip, Fearless, Void, Lee Jae-gon, and Izayaki. The standard lineup that you expect to see from Shanghai Dragons going into what could be potentially a tough match against the London Spitfire. Shanghai Dragons, that's right. If you've seen it in the records, you've seen it. You know, if you go to the Overwatch League website, 20-2. It's a pretty insane record in terms of regular season performances.
Yes.
And they're obviously coming into the series as the slight favorites against the London Spitfire. Take a look at their roster. It's going to be Glister starting with Shvi again, so not the first time we've seen London run that variation, but it's Jihoon actually coming in with Bernard on the main tank, and FaZe is coming in with Hailey. So pretty unique lineup we're seeing from London here. Not always, you know, it's actually generally not surprising to see London kind of mix their roster up like this.
Yeah.
But I think
they've been a lot more fluid with what players they're putting out on the field.
Yeah, and I think this could be a series where we could see London take an upset win. This is a series I really wanted to see in our summer showdown, but we didn't see it just because of how the bracket played out, and Shanghai obviously ended up going up against the Guangzhou Charge in that grand finals. But I'm excited to see if London can shake things up here a little bit. I don't think it's going to be with this roster, but this is their control roster. I think they'll go back to a more standard roster. We will see Babel in, etc. later on in the series. But I think that London could upset here. I don't think this is going to be as one-sided as it looks when you just look at the 20-2 versus 6-8 records.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing to point out is just how few games by comparison we've seen from the London Spitfire. So a lot more to do on the back end of the season here as we continue to ramp up towards the playoffs. So they want to pick up as many wins as humanly possible, get to that break-even point of that 8-8, and then just stack as many victories as they possibly can on the back end. Taking down Shanghai would be a major statement victory for the side of the London Spitfire with how young their players are and how strong Shanghai Dragons have been throughout this entire 2020 season. I mean, and even in last season, even though we've seen a lot of changes to that roster. So if they could get the ball rolling now, it'd be a major boon for them for the rest of this season here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely a good chance we see like London start to solidify themselves as we kind of get closer and closer to playoffs and become this kind of dark horse team that could make that really sick run to become kind of the champion of Asia. You know.
Sure.
So a win here would really be kind of one of the big stepping stones towards that. Because right now, you know, Shanghai has the best record in Asia, but in terms of recency, they're not the most successful team, right? Guangzhou Charge ended up taking that title away from them at our summer showdown. So it's a big win, but it doesn't mean that London suddenly has toppled our best team in Asia. But it's a really big statement in that you've taken this team of the best consistent 6 players and beaten them. And like, you know, how we see them So I've got something in my throat, but I can't drink water right now because it's very far away. How we see them change their roster up and how they try to counter what Shanghai is doing is, I think, going to be pretty telling as to where their mentality is for this meta.
Yeah,
like
well,
where their brains are at,
Well, we have to see, how they're going to fare and where their brains are going to be at, after potentially a map loss here at the start. We have to see what London Spitfire is going to be doing as far as changing up the roster. We were talking about it before, how fluid they have been in the past. And in certain cases, not that it really worked out for them because it was previous to London's, insane improvements that we've been seeing as of late, but sometimes just wholesale swapping everybody on the lineup, a new six-member squad coming in for the next map. So we'll see how they want to adapt. For the Shanghai Dragons, I think it's going to be a bit more rigid. We expect to see this six-man lineup pretty much for the entire duration of this series.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see any subs for the Shanghai Dragons. They've just been too consistent with this roster. And it's the roster that makes them look the most polished, the most coordinated. And their coordination really wasn't rivaled until Guangzhou had their rise. I don't want to say last season, but last tournament in the Summer Showdown. And I mean, the Shanghai Dragons are still, the picturesque form of consistency. When you watch these team fights, I mean, you're going to see some beautiful stuff. Well, Spitfire looked like they might have a different take on the meta this week here with the opening lineup that we see. Going to see a teleporter out first. Might actually see them run what the Chengdu Hunters have been running with this Wrecking Ball start.
Round 1. Capture the objective.
Okay, it's going to be open. Just have the teleports forward. Shui's going to be swapping over onto the Genji for the Shanghai Dragons, so straying away from that. We saw that was a bit of a weak point for Flutta during the Summer Showdown, so he is just going to be sticking with the Tracer alongside Lip Sombra, which has been a little bit hit or miss from time to time.
Yeah, London running that Chengdu style, though, the Ashe, Genji, and Wrecking Ball. Shanghai Dragons with the Sombra help hack, help counter with hacks that Wrecking Ball if executed correctly.
Well, Fearless pushing forward, living up to his name, goes low. He's barely surviving here for the moment. You can see Ji-Hun pushing forward, but the peel is going to be excellent as Lee Jae-gon gets that shield fast through. Try to keep the Winston player alive. Or Harmony going out on a Fearless will go ahead and slowly tick him back up towards full, where Izayaki is surging ahead. Nearly has that Transcendence online, 70% already, but Glister manages to find a kill. Flutta going to be taken down now. Lip out of the fight. Shui strikes back. No DPS members here now for the Shanghai Dragons as the London Spitfire look to hold this.
Yeah,
London going down. Seems like they will.
London Spitfire trading that extra kill onto Fearless is huge for them. You get a lot of extra time that way. The Shanghai Dragons, with the comp they're running, it's tough to retreat quickly and easily. And because they, ended up getting stuck there so long, not only do they give ult percentage over to Spitfire, but they lose a lot of that control meter. And Lip is only halfway just now to EMP, so the team fight they're looking for is so far away.
I was just about to mention that 51% for the EMP, which Shui is having the Dragon Blade come online right now. That is a major disadvantage here for the Shanghai Dragons. Slip's going to be forced out, has to jump out with that translocator. Still hasn't really gotten topped up. Couple shots going through on a Fearless, nearly finish him off. The blade comes out, and Izayaki going to be forced into the Transcendence. He uses the deflection, kites his way back, and Highly will go ahead and keep him sustained to the Transcendence of his own. Now Lee Jae-gon going to be taken down as Glister finds the kill. London Spitfire continue to sit pretty on this point. They finish off Fearless. A nice little stagger here on the back end, and they're approaching 75%.
I really like this Ashe. It gives them a lot of extra consistent damage to make sure the Shanghai Dragons can't just re-engage with an EMP after the trance. So it was a nice setup there to trance the blade, use that to get an EMP. They wanted to rally into that EMP fight to try to turn things around, but Glister did too much damage on the Ashe. Now they're going to look for this last chance fight here with the EMP. Looking for Highly first.
Okay, but as we go ahead and snap into Highly's point of view, we'll see Flutta is going to be taken down, so it will still be a trade out. EMP comes through, manages to catch a couple members here on the side of the London Spitfire, but the kills aren't following. The EMP hack is now gone, and Fuse gets a res, putting Highly straight back into the fight. Sweet cutting back down through the staircase, keeps himself safe, but he can see the London Spitfire. They knew they weren't going to be able to save Ji-Hun, so they go ahead and kite back collectively and look to reapproach. They know that they have time on their side. They can allow for the point to get flipped. They nearly have that Graviton Surge online as well.
It's a really intelligent decision by London to just not stick around and give Shanghai a chance to fight their way back into an ult economy advantage. Right now, it's pretty even. minus the grab, obviously, that is being held. Flip will get spotted here, but that's actually huge because that means he's not going to get the EMP charge he wanted to win this team fight. London Spitfire has a real chance here, a real window to just win this first round straight up before that EMP is online.
I think they want to try to get an assassination attempt on Highly in the back line. He's got a sliver of HP, and Fleta will be there to go ahead and scoop that final blow. Grab used, Fearless dead. In need of a bit more here for the London Spitfire if they want to take this back. See continued pressure being applied to Highly, who will be kept alive with the help of this bubble from Bernard as he tries to build up his energy. Still going to be hovering rather low though, around 20 for the moment. EMP comes through, manages to find 4, including Glister, who cannot throw the bomb out into the fight. Now Bernard, without his shielding, is a prime target. They pile on top of the Zarya, they get rid of him. And Shanghai Dragons are slowly and steadily winning out the fight, looking to take the map.
Yeah, London need to regroup ASAP. They cannot be losing members here right now. They need to get the fight they want in a moment, and losing anyone just means they're going to have so many less opportunities to set up the way they want. Bernard's not going to get a grab, very likely, for the rest of this first round. Using it earlier was pretty desperate. That's going to cost them big. Shanghai Dragons matching in every other way, actually ahead in ultimates, minus the EMP, which can be built in this fight. So this is a really good situation for Shanghai. They've almost clutched this. London Spitfire need a pick. They need something out of this wrecking ball, these mines that are going to come in, or else Shanghai should just be able to steal this away.
Yep, there's a hack on Tweez, so cannot draw out the Dragon Blade. Bernard falling low, sliver of HP, and Fearless with the primal range will be able to finish him off. Jihoon in the meantime, rolling his way back over towards the point. Bob will be finished off. Bernard is put back into the fight as the res comes through from Fuse. Nice pile drive coming in, but blocked off by the shield. Jihoon takes a lot of damage and is forced to exit. Blade's still going to be held. Izayaki still holding on to the Transcendence. BJ Gone, however, going to get sliced and diced, but it's the cost of now 3 members of the Sunday London Spitfire, and the hack is there on the Jihoon, so he can't get much done right now as the Wrecking Ball falls low, gets a Mega Pack, but they can't make their way back onto the point to contest. So 199% Shanghai Dragons pull off that comeback.
And that's a really tough comeback to pull off, too, when your first real Sombra fight, like in neutral before the first cap, goes so badly that you don't get half of an EMP. Your first EMP fight is not perfect, and you're kind of, for a lot of the time, Shanghai Dragons were behind on ultimates, but they had to fight really efficiently and had to take trades down on ultimates to maintain that advantage, and they were able to do just that. Bernard using his grab in a losing fight might have actually been the reason why London Spitfire really lost that edge they had in terms of that ult advantage that they were just never able to get back. And when you're fighting a Sombra, it's so hard to claw your way back in. So it was a good start from London, but Shanghai Dragons with some great team fights while down on ultimates to take it away. We're going to see Shanghai Dragons again with this composition, but with a Lucio Moira instead. They really want to win that neutral fight this time. They're committing more hard into these early supports. They might swap later, but for this first fight, they want that extra healing. They want the speed.
Well, you can see everybody turning around as soon as they hear the sound of Lip decloaking. So it doesn't get much done. Looks for that pick set up onto Highly in the back line. Fleta for now just going to be playing the front lines with the rest of his squad as they look to stave off London Spitfire, who are trying to cease this point from being capped. This London Spitfire has to jump back with the coach gun, looking for the lineup on that headshot on the Lip, but cannot quite find it. So for now, Shanghai Dragons going to be first in control of the point. London Spitfire, see how they try and engineer a take.
It's hard before that Dragon Blade when you're up against the Moira. Just gonna have Coalescence. Look at the engage potential here for Shanghai Dragons. They can play so far forward. They have so much more mobility with the Lucio, and then the Coalescence that's available now makes it hard for London to actually finish off the last part of those ults they need to contest.
Yeah, Coalescence does come out. Jihoon will be the first one to fall. Fleta scoops the kill. Now the rest of the Shanghai Dragons push forward, shoving London Spitfire back towards the spawn. Bernard manages to trade one out, getting rid of Leag gone, but that's about as good as it's going to get right now for London. Dragon Blade going to be online, and the one saving grace really for London is that they don't have Izayaki on Zenyatta on the other side, so he cannot completely just negate that ultimate with a Transcendence.
It's all about the EMP. If the EMP works, though, Shanghai gets that free team fight here. Let's get the hack.
EMP is out. Yep, they're looking for Highly. Bernard, however, turns around, takes down Lip, so still a 1-for-1, but without that extra healing, it's still going to be really rough. We will fall to Fearless, but he still holds on to that Dragon Blade for a little bit longer. Now they have the res, so London Spitfire might want to press the issue here. Shui going to be respawned, so let's see how they try to approach this. Very low energy right now for Bernard, actually non-existent for the most part. Pulse Bomb coming out from Fleta, manages to find a stick, but it's not going to be able to get a kill. The Transcendence there from Highly to go ahead and mitigate the damage coming through. And Flooded does have to use the recall to keep himself alive. Jihoon trying to get the pile driver. He's going to be killed in midair. Riley finds Flooded. It's a very scrappy fight as the Dragon Blade now comes through from Chui. He's looking for some prime targets. Gets booped back. The bubbles come through. He's got no one to cut down. Point's still going to be locked down here from the Shanghai Dragons. Another Coalescence rolls in from Izayaki. He's got a Discord Orb, but no damage is going his way, so it just does not matter. The focus fire is not there. There's so much chaos on the playing field right now. London Spitfire will finally be able to capitalize on the back end in all of the madness. It seemed like surely Shanghai Dragons were going to be able to take that one, but London somehow turned it around on its head.
And Leag gone, unfortunately, his sound barrier ends up landing on top of Mines. He's actually killed before he can hit the ground. That might have actually been a 100-0 if the barrier goes off. It does not. I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest with you, that we're not seeing swaps here on these heroes. I think Shanghai Dragons' idea with these, the Lucio and the Moiro, is actually just to get the first cap, get that EMP advantage, and then, you know, later on when they get to 99, trade off to the Zen, get a Transcendence fight, but they're not swapping. They're actually sticking with this. They want that mobility. They're going to get a fast Coalescence, but this could come back to bite them with Hylie just having way more effective ultimates overall.
Well,
and
Hylie,
kill potential.
Yeah, manages to find Leag gone, somebody who's usually very bloodthirsty himself. EMP comes out, however, Hylie will fall. Didn't have a Transcendence to try and counteract that. The other two members that were hacked on the side of London Spitfire, however, managed to survive, and Fuse finds the res, bringing the Zenyatta back into the mix. As Swit will cut down Flutta. Continuing to spam up, looks for that next Dragon Blade to come online. Just tossing out those right clicks where possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think they should not have taken that fight without Leag on. I think that was a huge mistake. He gets staggered again here now. And the EMP, I think, from Lip was what was the go button for Shanghai Dragons. They decided to collapse in after that, but I don't think he should have used it there. I think he should have held it. This looks very winnable for London Spitfire now. They've got a Trance, they've got a Blade. The grab is not scary when there's a Trance on the other side.
Fearless is way in the back, and that's going to be pretty scary for them. You can see Lip really staying alive here as the Coalescence rolls from Izayaki, and this is looking like a fight for the Shanghai Dragons to try and close things out. 3 members going to be gone. The bomb gets tossed out, but he's just not going to be able to do nearly enough to try and turn things around. Fletta from downrange will get rid of Fuse. And we are into overtime as the Shanghai Dragons regain control of the point. Jihoon, he manages to tag in, albeit briefly, just to force out some extra OT. Hack now onto Bernard. The London Spitfire, they are backs against the ropes. He holds onto a Dragon Blade. That's the only ultimate that they have to their name at the moment. He needs to pop off with it. He goes ahead, draws it out, manages to find Fletta on the first swing. Looking for a little bit more, gets Izayaki, but they still have to play the point. They have to get the flip. It's starting to come through right now for the London Spitfire, but this is still going to be enough for them to close out this round. Fuse will go down. Hylie just now respawning, swaps over onto the Brigida, starts rushing his way back over towards the point. 94% now for London.
They have EMP. This is huge.
Leag gone! That is such a huge pickoff here on the back end. EMP comes in, manages to catch both the DPS players for the London Spitfire, but now Fearless is going to fall as well. Void on the Wrecking Ball down to below half HP. Is trying to stay alive. Lip gets rid of one. Pulse bombs up for Fletta. Needs this one to be absolutely massive if they can turn this around. He's still looking for a target. He's trying to elude. That Diva manages to do so, gets a stick in onto Hylie, taking him down as Fuse hovers around in the sky with the Valkyrie pop, keeping everybody sustained on his lonesome. The under fire pulls down to about half HP. The minefield comes in from Jihoon. Sound barriers out from the Shanghai Dragons. They want to flip this. They want to close this out 2-0. You can see if they step off this point for just a fraction of a second, that OT bar is going to plummet. London Spitfire getting closer and closer. Bernard knocked out. Self-destruct not going to be able to find anything, but he makes it back into the mech. No, he's got no HP. Hack comes in. Manages to find 4. Primal Rage up from Fearless. Takes out 2. Bernard gets rid of Lip, but is that going to be enough? He's now in the pilot form, trying to pistol away and stay alive. Get back into that mech. 10% left to go. He manages to pop that one down, but the minefield will claim him before he can get back into the suit. And things are still very close here. Shanghai Dragons, however, starting to edge out on the fight. Jihoon rolls his way back in the mines, staving him off a bit. The pile drive comes in, but the focus fire is looking good. Point still not flipped in favor of the Shanghai Dragons. Lip gets a hack on the Glister. They manage to take him down. Shui's got the Dragon Blade, but he can't tag in onto the point in time. Shanghai Dragons again clutch out a fight, this time to close out the first map of Oasis.
Very much closer, I think, than it should have been there for the Shanghai Dragons. They definitely tossed away a few advantages with some risky team fights that EMP from Lip in particular, a few fights before the final one, was where London started to regain a little bit of control on the point. And things were pretty chaotic there. I feel like Jihoon is showcasing a very strong Wrecking Ball. And if, you know, Among and the Chengdu Hunters' ability to run this composition is any precursor to what we might see throughout this series. There's definitely a lot of disruption. It's definitely very difficult to deal with if you haven't practiced against it a lot, if you haven't really faced this in top-tier matches, which Shanghai hasn't yet really in this meta. So London Spitfire making this very close, and Shanghai Dragons, you know, they had a lot of advantages. I really like what they were doing with the Lucio and Moira. Almost lost their edge there in the chaos, so I think we might have a good series on our hands here.
It's looking that way. If things are going to be as close and as chaotic as they were just in that first map of Control, then I agree. I think we have an excellent series on our hands, but time will tell, and we'll see what happens when we come back from the break. Map number 2 coming up in just a few.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are just one map into our second series of the evening. Shanghai Dragons barely able to scrape by a victory on Oasis. Extremely close rounds, and as we said before the break, if the first map is any indication of what we can expect from the rest of this series, then I'm sold. I'm ready for the rest of it, and I'm ready to get strapped in.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm already strapped in. I'm wearing double seat belts, man.
I feel like I need to be strapped in. I mean, I'm obviously at the the Papega house, as I call it, with Bren and Jaws and Jake. That's what I'm calling it.
Oh, okay.
But
I wouldn't be surprised if they called it that.
They might. But yeah, I'm in this setup, and they have this really big high chair that I'm sitting in, and I feel like I could fall out of it at any moment. So I feel like I do need to be strapped in. So maybe a bit of a safety hazard. Might have to contact OSHA about the ongoings here in the studio. But either way, I'm ready for this series. And if I fall out of my seat because this series is so damn good, I think it's okay. I think it's worth it.
I mean, ZP's been doing all right filling in. So if you injure yourself, I know I can get through.
I already said he can't have you again.
he's probably watching me. He's like ready. He's like, oh, I hope Seth falls. I'm joining in.
He's definitely watching. I think that besides myself, ZP might be the person with the most messed up schedule.
Yeah. Well, ZP always talks to me at normal times in Korea, so I'm like, wait, what does that mean?
Yeah.
He's not actually here, right?
Just you know, casual 3 a.m. cast here for me.
Well, look at this again. London is running the Chengdu comp, and You know, Shanghai Dragons avoided
Shocker.
using the Genji on the previous map. They've got, out of the gates here, if they stick with this, they've got a comp that, yeah, looks like it's going to be changed to dive. I thought it was going to be maybe Genji Tracer with the Winston Zarya, but nope, they're just going Genji-less again. And they found, you know, pretty good success with it previously. The Mercy, yeah, I was going to say, that's a bit puzzling, but this is going to be Leag on now swapping over to the Lucio. I actually don't really like Shanghai's comp as much as I like London's. I think London's is a lot stronger and a very good anti-dive. Let's see if the execution is good enough for Shanghai to get a pick here. That's what Numani's first neutral fight is all about. You bubble the Winston, you try to build ult charge, but you're also looking for a kill. If you get one, you could just overwhelm. London Spitfire's otherwise fragile composition, but it's still got a lot of feel.
And it does. See everybody kind of clumped up on that high ground for the moment. That's exactly where Fearless is aiming for. Will get pushed back though. Doesn't get as much cleave damage as he would like, but Shanghai Dragons already on the point. Will go ahead and get 1.5 ticks, now moving their way up towards the second one. Highly going to be taken down to the back lines by Lip. Excellent assassination by him, and yeah, that's just where the comp starts to unravel. They get a res in onto Highly, but he is dead on arrival. Leag sending him sailing off the side of the map. Glister will get one nice little parting kill onto Lip, but that's about it as they go ahead and kite their way back onto the Ashe all the way over towards point B. Point A itself does get locked down, and there's now 5 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in the time bank for Shanghai Dragons as they start the Streets phase.
There's a lot of variance in this meta right now with Genji and the dive that we're seeing where, you know, you can just lose one support and then everything unravels, like you say. And, you know, that's why we see crazy time banks all the time in this meta on Hybrid. It's just so hard to hold on to those first points. Sometimes you just hold it for a while, right? You get an ult advantage, but if you lose it in the first fight because of some crazy, you know, backline pick, then suddenly your opponent's got a massive time bank. Then they're going to have EMP ult fights coming up, and this could be a crazy time bank for Shanghai if they can keep the momentum going, if they can keep the tempo up with this first EMP. Blade is ready, however, so this first fight here on the Streets phase is going to be huge. It's going to be extremely important for deciding where Shanghai's ult economy is at.
Yeah, Blade's going to be coming through before Void can get that Graviton Surge online. Coalescence going to be used by Izayaka as he fades his way out. Nice bubble, perfectly timed from Void. He'll keep Leag gone alive, and the Blade is effectively worthless for the side of the London Spitfire. Now Lit gets the kill onto Glister. They will be able to get the res out from Fuse, but look at the damage coming out from Fearless. Falls low, pops the bubble, tries to kite his way back, dips onto the other side of it, and he manages to survive at least for a little bit longer. Shui, in the meantime, manages to dash his way through, takes down Lip, will follow up for another one onto Fearless as Leag also falls. So London Spitfire seems like they will be able to halt this cart just in front of point B. But given the time bank that the Shanghai Dragons have, the Graviton Surge, the sound barrier that's about to be available, there's still really big potential for them to just go ahead and push in and be on this next fight.
London has definitely gotten the ult efficiency, you know, they stopped the kind of chain effect that can happen, the chain reaction that can happen with Shanghai Dragons, winning that fight with EMP, getting B, then getting a grab, and then getting another EMP. Like, they've halted this. It's a long run back, so London Spitfire have their own grab, they're going to have a rally, and that'll probably lead to a Blade, so they've got a really good shot here in this fight. There's the grabs
up here on the high ground. Shui going to be taken down. The rally popped by Highly, trying to keep everybody alive. Bernard with a sliver of HP. Seems like he will be able to stay sustained for a little bit longer here, as the Bob will come out to play. Mr. tosses that one into the mix as Shui will be rezzed back through. Maybe 1% towards that next Dragon Blade, which could be absolutely critical. You can see Shanghai Dragons peeling back as they cannot displace that Bob over towards the cart. Leag, however, pushes forward, manages to get rid of Shui as the Dragon Blade becomes available. And we're not seeing a res coming out as Flutter will go ahead and put a Pulse Bomb on a Fuse to take him out of the fight. Those are still fighting back, manages to get rid of Lip, but the cart does manage to roll through into point B. The Ashe, not really going to be your prime suspect for standing on the cart and keeping it contested. So they do have to let this one go, and it's still 4 minutes for Shanghai Dragons in the time bank. London Spitfire, though, they've got a couple ultimates here to try to stem the bleeding a little bit.
I feel like London is very much going to struggle with this team fight. The blade efficiency for Shui has been really bad, really low the last two maps. Just not because of it's not his fault, but Shanghai shut his blades down super effectively. And that's their best tool here, minus the minefield, to slow this down. Here's the minefield to engage.
Yeah, Fuse already going to be gone. The EMP comes out, manages to catch Shui, gets rid of Bernard. They will go ahead and finish off that Zarya. So Shmet, unable to use that Dragon Blade, will have it for a final contest, but you can see the kills continuing to come through, staggering the members of the London Spitfire, sending them back into the spawn room. There's a couple meters left to go, and with the grab coming out, the dash is not going to be fast enough from Shmet, and they will be able to finish the map. So Nimbani completed it with 3 minutes and 14 seconds to spare for Shanghai.
The hack on the Shui is super important because the blade is their best way to get the kills to stop that cart from rolling. And obviously Jihoon wanted to engage with a minefield to set up for that, but the hack is there. And so Shui just, is unfortunately useless. Then you see Fearless come through and cut off the Ashe, so there's no way for Glister to be relevant in that fight either. And it all works out, kind of perfectly the way that Shanghai Dragons wanted it to, because London Spitfire don't have the tools to set up for that really strong blade engage. If Ana were in the meta, right now, or rather in the hero pool, then, you'd see probably an Ana there, you'd see a Nano onto Shvi, he'd still get his blade, he'd survive a little bit longer, and it'd be a completely different fight. But you need those blade setups, and that's one of the weaknesses of the Chengdu comp, is you don't really have a great way to guarantee that the Genji finds success. If you're Jinmu, then, you're probably just going to do it no matter what, because you're out of control on the Genji, you're insane. But not to say that Shui is that much weaker of a player mechanically, but he just isn't finding the blades because Shanghai are playing such a mobile comp. It's hard to chase down and kill those individual targets, especially when there's a Zarya on the other side, making it that much harder. When you do finally find that Tracer or find that support and the bubbles there, you're like, I'm trying so hard to get value.
Yeah, super frustrating for them. Let's see how London's going to fare on their own attack. They have a pretty big time bank to try and live up to. Lip just going to be scouting everybody out, but shouldn't be much of a surprise at this point that London is just going to be sticking through with the same exact comp.
Yeah, I'm just calling it the Chengdu comp because I think everybody knows what that means. But Lip here, he sees what's going on. He's going to look for a backline hack. Ooh, a nice spot there from Eiley.
Yeah, he is getting a pinch there as Fleta comes in from behind, tries to get a little bit extra damage in, but taking down a Brigitte as a lone Tracer effectively is not going to really work out for him. Doesn't get any meaningful damage in, but London getting ready to go on their attack. Jihoon pushes up to the high ground, does get hacked as he rolls forward. Dynamite coming through, manages to get the tag on the Leag on, taking him down below half HP. A follow-up shot from Glister would have finished off the Lucio, but can't quite find it.
Dynamite was really good.
Yeah.
He's actually almost out of Bob right now. And London Spitfire's comp doesn't have the blade as its solo win condition. It actually just kind of steamrolls. If you get a pick with this, you have a lot more sustainability in your front line, and you have mobility too. With the Wrecking Ball will be high ground, low ground, much faster than a Winston could be. I love that, just threatening the cap, forcing Shanghai to react.
Still so much verticality just from the tanks alone. Those are going to be the first ones that you send to the point to try and contest, so doesn't really do too much, just kind of toying with them, which is what Lip is doing right now. Tries to go in for the hack bubble, going to be coming through, but it's still just so much pressure being applied. The dive call came in, and everybody responded. Shanghai Dragons now chasing back towards the spawn room of the London Spitfire as Fearless just continues to cleave away, tapping at everybody that he possibly can find, and the cleanup is going to be there, and it's just a fantastically executed fight for the Shanghai Dragons.
Yeah, this rally for London Spitfire is really, I think, what they need to find long-standing success on the point. And the problem is EMP is there. I think they probably just have to lose this fight to EMP and wait for the next fight to use their ultimates, which Shanghai is planning for. They know that's probably they're just going to run in, lose this fight, and look for the next fight. But that just costs you time, right? Remember, Shanghai got their cap on the first push, so their time bank is insane. It's a lose-lose scenario here for London Spitfire.
Keeping his eyes on everybody, sees Highly, make sure that he's not going to be at risk of getting bashed out of the EMP. Jihoon trying to drag them over to the point. The Bob going to be contesting for now. Fleta has to hide in behind the cart to keep himself safe. He pokes up around the top. Dragon Blade is ready to go. Nice dynamite there from Glister. Will get rid of Leag gone. He's at 90% towards that sound barrier. Crucial one to get out of the fight, but not finding too many kills in the back end of that one. They still do have the point, but Shanghai Dragons certainly could come back in here and try and recontest with the point. They've got a lot of staying power. Coalescence is going to be the first thing to get drawn out. Fearless still holding onto the primal range. He draws out the blade, manages to find Izayaki, gets rid of that Coalescence. Looking for another target, can't quite slice and dice somebody to death, but dashes up, finds Fleta. Very nicely done by Shui. Sound barrier comes in late from the Shanghai Dragons, and the shielding is already going to be gone as Fearless does fall. Deflection going to be burned. Leag not really having anywhere to run. Lip as well will get cut down. That will be the cap here for the London Spitfire. So a bit of an overcommitment there from Leag.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that I don't know exactly what happened with Lip's EMP. It didn't look like it hit anybody or it was interrupted. I have to go back and watch, but his EMP didn't get value and things just started to fall apart from there. But I really appreciate how slowly London played that. I mean, they started off with Bob to force Fleta back onto the point. He was just kind of hiding on the other side of the cart. Then they slowly engaged forward and used their ultimate, staggered them. They get the rally out, set up for Shui's Blade. Nicely played.
Yep, you can see the dive call coming in onto Glister, but he does manage to retreat successfully this time around. Had the headshot lineup there onto Izayaki, had he not faded away at that moment. So good dodge from him. Cart starts to inch up. Getting ready to around the corner here, around the bus, but Shui's going to be taken down. No Dragon Blade in the fight, and a hack onto Bernard. Kind of makes him a bit of a battery for Fleta. Trying to build up for that ultimate. Leag on, hello. Not quite sure what happened there. Yeah, goes off the side of the map, so maybe we'll get the answer a little bit later on. EMP comes through, however, manages to find 3, and the Coalescence from Izayaki will burn down Jihoon. I think that'll be the only casualty here of the fight so far, as Void will not be able to survive, so it does get taken down.
Okay, Fleta unscouted here. This actually could be major. Okay,
back.
They do see him.
Yeah, the respawns, they start coming out. They see him trying to slink his way into the back line to line up that pulse bomb.
Time bank here pretty weak for London Spitfire, and they don't have great ults to finish this off. The Blade itself is hard to actually find value against the comp that Shanghai is running right now. Well, they don't have a Zarya at least. That's a good start.
Shui drags out the Blade, does get hacked, so doesn't have any dashes to come through. Pulse bomb out, finds the stick on the Glister. Claims 1. Rez is there from Fuse, but now Shui going to be taken down. Leag on with a right click, manages to finish off the Genji. And the cart will just be stopped here. 2.8 meters away from point B. London Spitfire going to have to wait and rejoin as 6 and come back into the fight, but they're a bit limited as far as ults are concerned. In the meantime, for Shanghai Dragons, another EMP, Coalescence, Sound Barrier, all of these major ultimates are about to be online.
Yeah, I mean, Shanghai Dragons have all the tools they want here to slow this down. There's not even a Blade on the other side. This is going to be the big off.
Yes, it is. Oh, just missed the wall.
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile, back over here, Shui's going to be dead. EMP came out from Lip, managed to find 3. Guy going to get 4 there with the Genji as well, and now he's going to go ahead and be well on his way to farm up towards another one. He's just going to get smacked there in the back of the dome.
That should be the map, honestly. I mean, in all likelihood. The Spitfire just don't have tools here. I mean, they're not even going to have a rally until everyone gets regrouped. I mean, they might get one last attempt with the Wrecking Ball. Sure, there's ways to buy time. You might get a minefield if you're lucky, but Leag is actually just trying to prevent a touch. There's Jihoon knocked off.
Oh, no!
He missed the jump! He just missed it straight up. Leag didn't even get that one.
Okay, didn't have to boop him away, so that is just kind of going to be catastrophic. They start pushing their way forward. Bernard does manage to tag in. Pulse bombs out from Fleta into the back line. Yet again finding Glister, as he's magnetized to the Atch, it would seem. Self-destruct from Void does get rid of Highly. The res is there from Fuse. They're trying to bring in Brigitte back into the fight. Bernard pops that self-destruct of his own, but he's denied the remech. Izayaki gets up in his face and cuts him down. Speaking of cutting, he comes in with that Dragon Blade, but there's just not enough that he can do. He's got 2 tanks staring him in the face. One of them is going to be Primal Rage.
EMP almost ready.
Get through that health bar. Hack now comes in. He has to stay safe. EMP is out, and it catches absolutely everybody other than Bernard. They are off the cart. That is the hold, and the Shanghai Dragons will take a Numbani, now move up 2-0 in this series to be at match point.
There you have it. I mean, it all comes down to just better ult efficiency on the side of the Shanghai Dragons. They're finding tons of value with the Sombra. London Spitfire, they're running a Brigitte, but they're not able to shut down these EMPs. They're not able to get bashes. They're not able to cancel the EMP. They don't have a sound barrier with the comp they're running, so EMP just becomes so powerful. Also, we're seeing insane, almost threading of the needle hacks from Lip on the side of the Shanghai Dragons, just getting those crucial targets. Hitting Shui in critical moments during Blade, before Blade, preventing Blade. I mean, not even just EMPs, but just right-click hacks that have been quite critical. London Spitfire is struggling against this composition.
That they are. I believe it was 17 members of London Spitfire EMP there from Lip on the stat card at the end of the round. So massively impactful EMPs coming through from him. Just the one that we didn't really get the clarification on through a replay that seemed like he either got interrupted or didn't hit anybody. But that aside, still, the majority of the other ones have just been absolutely astounding from him. It's a good change to see because Lip in the past on this pick has been very wonky, very hit or miss, but today he is getting a lot more hits than misses.
Indeed. I mean, I feel like London Spitfire, their comp is good. I mean, Chengdu's proven that it can work, but we've got to see better execution around these blades, or perhaps just a change of the composition overall, because the Sombra is just doing a number on it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We're going to go into our halftime here in just a little bit. We'll see if London Spitfire are going to be making any overarching changes to the lineup and their strategy when we come back from that. But stay tuned, guys, because we're going to have our game break in just a few.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
Alrighty, welcome back. It is time for our game break presented by Cheez-It Grooves. We're going to go ahead and take a quick little look back at the first two maps here in this series. Shanghai Dragons currently leading 2-0. They made both rounds of Oasis extremely close, but Numbani just, they weren't able to paint the same picture.
Yeah, I mean, Numbani, they ran into a lot of problems with the Sombra EMP. And like I said before, when on hybrid maps in particular, also Control to a certain extent, there's so much variance on that ultless first team fight that it could go either way, especially when a Genji is involved, where the Genji either pops off and gets dash, resets, or just totally flops. Sometimes you get these crazy lopsided time banks. Like, not every time bank is created equal. It's not actually fair, even sometimes, the way that turns out in this meta. So London had less time to work with. They had to play more aggressively. They had to take more risks. And a Sombra composition is always going to love when you're playing like that. Because a Sombra can say, okay, I know their win condition on every single fight. I'm going to hack that priority target. Oftentimes, that's the Genji. And that was Swit, oftentimes. And, I mean, London just... They're running a smart comp. It's something that Chengdu's found a lot of success with, but London had that EMP advantage. They had the time bank advantage. It was their game to lose, and they didn't.
Well, it's a really rough position now for the London Spitfire to be in. They have to try and reverse sweep versus the Shanghai Dragons. One of the best teams in the world right now in the Overwatch League. This can be our crunch time presented by Cheez-It Grooves. What do you expect from London as we get ready to come out of this first half into the second? Do you think that we're going to have any overarching roster changes or changes in strategy? What do you anticipate from them?
The map is Anubis, so I don't think we are going to see any roster changes. I think we're going to see the same composition because they want to run the Genji, right? And they want to run the Zarya Wrecking Ball, you would imagine. So I think Jihoon's going to stay in. I just want to see better play around Shui, who he himself has actually had some incredible moments, and his Dragon Blades are not poor by his fault, but Shanghai's just playing so well around him. Hack setup is really good. Maybe better spy checking is probably like the one thing I could really identify that London is lacking, because it feels like they're not able to track where Lip is all the time. And Lip is playing, by the way, his EMPs are slow building because he actually doesn't just spam left click to get EMPs. He's hiding a lot. Which is why he's getting so many good priority hacks. Like, I feel like Shui's blade efficiency has been probably like 0.25 or something, meaning like he kills one. Like, if your blade efficiency is 1, that means you kill one person per Dragon Blade. I feel like he kills like one person every 4 Dragon Blades. Like, it feels like it's that low. Maybe it's more like 0.5 or something like that. But he's just not. He's not like, a lot of these Dragon Blades are getting nobody. Like, and that's not through his fault. He doesn't have a nano boost on him. He doesn't have the ability to have Mercy pocketing him, and usually in these team fights. But he's hacked, so sometimes he's Dragon Blading without the ability to dash or deflect. And I think the spy checking is probably the biggest thing that London Spitfire could work on or try to improve going into this third map that could make their composition a lot stronger.
Yeah, I mean, we even did see the swap-off for London Spitfire. They moved over onto the D.Va, and I assumed that was to have easier spy checking because the Zarya is not going to be, very good at it unless Sombra is standing about 10 feet away from you, and you just happen to, whiff a beam, take a beam right across her. The D.Va is a lot better for that spy checking, but even then, Lip was eluding detection extremely well, and he definitely has been the biggest thorn in the Spitfire side right now in this series. So we'll see what they have for us and whether or not it's, if they can level up their spy checking, if that's going to be enough for them to play around Lip, because right now things are looking very dire for the London Spitfire. They have to pull off a reverse sweep. Shanghai Dragons kind of just looking poised to take this series. And I should point out, I'm wearing the Shanghai Dragons shirt. I thought Wolf was going to be wearing a London Spitfire one, but turns out he didn't get his package yet. So I kind of just look like a biased boy over here.
I'm wearing a red shirt, so it looks like I'm also on Team Shanghai. Usually you and I have the opposite, but not today. Like, now we're the same.
Well, it was supposed to be a coordinated effort like you guys saw from Brennan's Sideshow earlier on, but unfortunately pesky packages didn't get delivered in time. But it is what it is. But that does it for our game break, for our crunch time. When we come back, we will see the rest of the series, see if the London Spitfire can pick up a couple map wins and extend this to a Game 5 to potentially get a reverse sweep, or if Shanghai Dragons might just close this out with a 3-0. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Groups. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Zip Chair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League, and by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Alrighty, welcome back. It is time to see how this series will end. Shanghai currently up 2-0 over the London Spitfire, and it just doesn't look like Shanghai is going to relent. They are not going to show any mercy. They have been just pretty dominant overall. I mean, some very close victories on Oasis, but Numbani not even remotely close. So London, they need to pull out all of the stops. I can go ahead and spoil it. They are not having any roster swaps at the moment, so we're just going to be sticking through with the same old squad.
London Spitfire squad?
Yes.
Well, you missed.
Actually,
Sanguinar.
Sanguinar is in.
Sanguinar came in.
You're right.
But
he slipped through the cracks.
Yeah, it's crazy that we saw Fuse, by the way, for so long. But little known fact, Fuse, who's played for a lot of contenders teams over the years and played in Apex very briefly as well, is very good Bercy player. Obviously, he's more famous for his Lucio because of his stream and all the crazy highlights you can see from him. But he's a really good Mercy player, so him being subbed out here might indicate that London is going to change the composition up a little bit.
And
there's certainly a strong possibility of that.
Okay, and they are on... Nope. Never mind.
They showed us different comp for a second.
They did, but and then I realized that they were defending and that the Pharah just wouldn't really make much sense. We also do, on the side of the Shanghai Dragons, have DM stepping in over Lip, and it seems like he's just going to be taking up the mantle of the Sombra. Obviously, this is a pick that he is very well versed with historically, but let's see how they fare.
Could be Fleta plays Genji, and DM plays Ashe. That's certainly a possibility, but they might just be styling on London after that last game being pretty
there's
successful.
One piece of the puzzle from what you're talking about. I think you nailed it, Wolf. We do have Fleta's Genji coming through, at least for the start here.
Yeah, it's Anubis. I think, you kind of have to run the Genji. Shanghai seems allergic to it recently, but I don't think you can really get away with it on this map. Just running the Sombra Tracer, it's just too difficult. There's too many choke points you have to get through. Your mobility doesn't actually work well. Is the Sombra Tracer duo on this map.
Yeah, I'm just getting the push away there on Jihan as he goes into the pile driver. It's a little bit of damage as DM tries to get that headshot there on the Glizzard. Finally does manage to get one dink, but he's being pocketed by Sanguinar this entire time, so not going to be easy to go ahead and take down that opposing Ashe. But Jihan left out the dry with pretty much just an Orb of Harmony on him. He doesn't last very long. So he does fall now, highly going to be eliminated as well. And you can see Fearless into the back lines, just wreaking havoc, zapping away at people as best as he possibly can. We'll go ahead and jump back over onto the point. It seems like Shanghai Dragons have broken through and will be getting the cap on A as Fleta just continues to farm his blade up here towards the end of the map.
This is why I love Shanghai Dragons roster from a wider perspective. Fleta can play anything. Genji is one of the heroes that he's really well versed on despite not being as famous for it. And then sure, Lip can play Ashe, but DM is the specialist, the long-range sniper specialist. You can put him on the Ashe for the entire map, sub him out. Lip, probably the better McCree, but in terms of Ashe, it's going to be DM all the way. So it's a really smart sub for the map. And London Spitfire is not dealing with the same comp they've been dealing with all series long, so kind of frustrating to have to change gears here.
Bubble out as Bernard tries to get some energy back. Hovering rather low. And pops his own move. He has to build up to about 45. Here, that is going to be the Valkyrie coming out from Sanguinar, the blade out from Fleta, but he just gets melted. Bernard manages to cut him down. A nice turnaround here for the London Spitfire, perhaps, but Shui, very low on HP, is trying to stay alive. He's got that Dragon Blade, would love to use it to stave off the Shanghai Dragons, but actually seems like it won't be necessary. Enough damage has been dealt, so London will go ahead and shove them back, but a tick is gained, so they're not starting from 0. And they build up 45.7%.
Izayaki also trancing there. Looks like he did it to try to help his teammates get back without getting staggered, but that's going to be a big ultimate loss. Now, yeah, they have a lot of time in the bank here, so you're not going to feel too terrible about it, but at the same time, they might have just wanted to lose that time and regroup and then come in with the grab trance, but not going to have it.
Being a grab, Bernard goes ahead, dumps that one. They lock down Fearless. He's smart enough to go ahead and just hold on to that primal range. Knew that it wasn't going to be enough to save him. Teammates weren't in a position to try and peel, and they didn't have any support ultimates to try to keep him alive either. So Very smartly just holds onto that one. Otherwise, good grab from Bernard.
Yeah, Anubis B and like Hanamura B are two places where it's really difficult to build a trance as a Zenyatta as the attacking team because you don't really get line of sight easily, especially when there's an Ashe on the other side. You're always putting yourself at risk. So Izayaki is building it up decently, but it's not it's not going to be one team fight into a trance. It's going to have to kind of slowly build that one up as they slow push here. So that hurts. Hiley's got his. London Spitfire kind of have the whole war chest minus the grab they used to win the last fight.
Okay, Bob just going to be sent straight down over onto the point. Going to be contesting that one so far, and yeah, it doesn't last very long. Blister manages to take him down. Downtown Surge going to be lobbed in from Void. Bernard will fall, manages to get that kill as Blister tries to snipe Leag out of the sky, but he's going to be unsuccessful in doing so. And Sanguinar in the meantime brings Bernard back into the fight. Chewy with a Dragon Blade, manages to find 2, cuts down DM after taking out Void with a dash. Primal Rage is there from Fearless, but he's going to have to use it to exit. Comes back over, tries to get a little bit of extra percentage, knows that his life is forfeit at that point. We'll get back up to about 19%, but it's a good fight for the London Spitfire. They hold off the Shanghai Dragons.
Yeah, it's a really good fight for them, and not only do
the next
they win
one's scary, though.
Yeah, not only do they win it, though, but they trade a lot of the ults away from the Dragons. Like, it was a really nice trade for them ult-wise. Yeah. So London get to come into this next fight with the faster grab available, and this is probably going to be a longer fight. Now, they don't have a trance for Flooded Blade, so that is in itself very terrifying conceptually, but, the execution has to be crisp for Shanghai. The ball is in their court now. They need to really make a strong Blade showing here. We need to see an insta-delete of one of the supports without that trance. If this goes longer, Hiley might build that. He's the defending Zen here. It's going to come up a lot faster. They need to make this window work.
You can see the Discord orbs being bounced around. Izayaki forced into the Transcendence, it would seem. The Blade's not coming out from Fleta, though, so they don't have that guaranteed sustain on Fleta's Genji as he tries to pull out the Blade. So this is a major time by now available for the London Spitfire. Didn't quite see what pressured him in, or whether or not his health bar went dangerously low. Could have just been a fat finger even.
It's the second such trance he's used that's a little bit questionable here on Anubis B. Now London could be the hard engage.
I mean, this is when you would really love to have the Transcendence. Just use it to go ahead and clear out the mines, escort everybody across the bridge. Jihun just going to be rolling through, takes a ton of damage, but has that Mega Pack to rely on, so will stay alive even through that Discord Orb. Leag brings CM back into the fight. We'll see if he can get much done, but as he arrives, Void exits. Hiley will be eliminated. It seems like it's still going to be enough for the Shanghai Dragons to start pressing forward, but Fearless will fall now. Izayaki is going to be gone, and it's another fantastically won fight from the London Spitfire. They're keeping it scrappy, but they're also keeping it efficient. It's just the minefield that comes out from Jihun, and they win the fight.
Yeah, they could have, they could have tried to Blade there, but London Spitfire were just so far away from the point, they wanted to take a more ideal fight, and then that longer exchange, it's going to go in the favor of London Spitfire. Hiley got picked. They put so many resources into killing him before his trance was up, but he's got it now.
Now the aggressive fight comes in, grab right up at the start of the choke, and it's just London filling the kill feed. A team wipe comes through, another single ult use fight. They clean it up, and they continue to chew time away from the Shanghai Dragons time bank. 48 seconds now remaining.
If anyone who's new to Overwatch, one of your friends, what do the cast mean by ult efficiency? Show them this defense from London Spitfire.
It's so good so far.
And, Shanghai Dragons are struggling to get the last part of their ultimates online. Ideally they want to have all of them here. They're going to look for the engage.
Blades out from Shui. Yet again, they're going into the back line. Shui this time starting to find those high-impact Blade kills. Takes down 2 right off the bat. Will have to resheath it, but continues to play forward with the rest of the squad. They want those extra kills. They want the ult charge that comes with them, as well as the staggers. There's 14 seconds remaining, so for every kill that they can find, it's absolutely massive in shutting down this attack from the Shanghai Dragons. Fearless goes low, gets forced into the Primal Rage, still has that Discord Orb on him, so still doesn't feel safe to really jump into the back line. Starts to do so now as the Primal Rage will be expiring, and the Blade comes out, but they don't touch the point!
No touch. Just a missed dash there from Fleta, unfortunately. That's nasty.
I'm all about social distancing, but when it comes down to touching the point, get up close to them.
Oh, man. Achilles, I really like how London took all these fights off the point.
It was fantastic.
They take these fights off the point because if Shanghai matches, they have to use more ultimates than London do in a lot of these cases because of how aggressive London's engages are, so they don't want to use them. When you take these fights off the point, as we're going to watch this moment again, they get an opening pick, and then Fleta's dash, when he comes through, He's actually, well, he doesn't even dash. He just was up on the high ground, drops down the wrong angle.
Yeah,
And Winston
he
was
and
too
Fearless.
far.
Yeah, they both went around that pillar rather than cutting. If they, instead of going around the pillar that way, if they did the inside track, they would have touched the point. It would have forced out an OT.
Yeah, I would have forced an OT. They would have. It was very unlikely they end up capping, but they would have had a fighting chance at least. But yeah, the thing about taking these fights off the point is it forces Shanghai to either trade ults off the point, which is never what they want to do, or you know, they just have to lose these fights and then regroup. But it's one ult at a time, so Shanghai's never really trading well enough. If Shanghai uses their ults off the point and trade, then when they get to the point, defender's advantage and the spawn advantage that London has just wears them down. So they wanted to wait for that perfect fight, the one that they just had the last second, but unfortunately they didn't touch. So even though it was the fight they wanted, and it was going to be a fight on the point, they just simply got timed out there. So
yeah, actual Shang 9.
Essentially, yeah.
Unlucky, as they say. Well, Spitfire, they are now in pole position. Go ahead and take this map away, keep themselves alive in the series, and try to pull off a reverse sweep. See Jihoon deep into the back lines as Swit just continues to farm up off a Void from the side. He finally pays attention to the Genjis. They're falling down below half HP.
The Zarya matchup is absolutely going to favor Void with the Winston here and the defense, because you could easily just control these chokes with bubbles. Void's always going to have better energy. Oh, but a pick like that opens things up.
Absolutely major. Leag gone. Manages to get the res off, but he dies for it. Jihoon presses forward, trying to deny it. They can't stop DM from coming back into the fight, but they can just go ahead and probably finish him off yet again. He's got a sliver of HP, and Izayaki is all on his lonesome now. As a Zenyatta trying to keep people alive. It's the damage going out. Fearless getting chipped lower and lower. Jihoon manages to finish him off, and it seems like London Spitfire are going to have just as massive of a time bank here to try to push in on to B. 58.6% is what they're going to have to beat.
When you kill, when you get an opening kill like that, take away the Ashe, there's just no way Swit can compete. You just can't compete. You can't kill. Excuse me, sorry, DM in this case can't compete. I'm looking at the wrong Ashe on my UI. DM can't compete. Look at his ult charge. It's barely anything. He can't compete against the combos coming against. He can't kill the Wrecking Ball by himself. Let a cat, that is.
Well,
you know?
Izayaki, he needs to get this Transcendence online. He's just 20% away from it, but he's got the Dragon Blade. He's going to go ahead and draw it out. The Coach Gun pushes him back for just a little bit, but he will not be stopped. Man, to cut down too as Izayaki will fall. Bernard does get caught up by Fearless. The res comes in from Leag on, putting DM back into the fight. See if they can do anything, though. We get the headshots through from the Shurikens. Fleta will fall. Dragon Blade's going to be available to him when he comes back in. Right now, London Spitfire fighting off the points of not really ticking their way up. Still are managing to win out for the moment. A lot of pressure being applied on the Glister, but the pocket healing is there from Sanguinar to keep him alive. Shanghai Dragons might have bought enough time to actually continue this and maybe win out this defense, because London was fighting away from the point the entire time. That being said, Glister finds another shot. Void's going to be taken down. They chase in. You can see the right-click farming coming through. Swit's got another Dragon Blade online. He's ready to roll. Izayaki already uses the Transcendence, so now he can just wait this one out. Exactly what he goes for, but DM gets the headshot. Beautifully done. Completely nullifies that ultimate. They get close to grabbing the tick, but now it seems like it is just not going to happen. Not on this attack. London Spitfire are staved off. They will be starting from 0%. That being said, they've got 4 minutes plus still in the time bank with the grab coming out, but that was fantastically done by Shanghai Dragons.
London tried to use the fact that they had tempo advantage there. They had an extremely mobile main tank in the Wrecking Ball to come through and try to push this over the edge so they could set for that insane blade. But it's DM's double headshots, first on the Swit, then on the Sanguinar, that actually saved the day for Shanghai Dragons to keep their hopes alive here. London does have a slight ult advantage, you could argue, but I mean, this still could go either way if Shanghai Dragons win this next one.
It's kind of going to come down to whether or not Hailey can catch up to Izayaki and beat him to that.
Zen's hard, especially against DM.
Yeah, like you said, defending Zenyatta going to have that advantage. Which also allow for Fleta to poke out long enough to perhaps take the lead here over Swit. Izayaki going to be gone, and now Leag on, he gets the res, but again is going to die for it. The minefield nicely placed there by Jihoon. Gets sort of the mercy, but with Bernard and Jihoon falling, seems like there's just not going to be any legs to stand on here for the rest of this push, so London Spitfire will have to peel back. More time bought for the Shanghai Dragons, And they do have that Transcendence online for Bernard's grab.
Yeah, I think the best way for London to open this up is risky, but the best way is to get a kill with Glister again. If he could take anybody out, especially if he could take out Izayaki here, or force a trance by just even getting a body shot, that's the best way for them to really open this one up. Otherwise, Shanghai, even though they're down on ults here, they have the trance, like you said, which could basically buy you a team fight. They can swing the pendulum back into their favor. Look at how much respect Izayaki is showing here to Glister at the same time, knowing that that's their kind of lost condition is him getting picked.
There's falling low. 4 ults about to be online for the Shanghai Dragons. 4 ults nearly there for the London Spitfire as well. Transcendence is going to be absolutely crucial in this extended fight. The Bob comes out from Glister. DM now going to be matching. But a falling low makes his way into the underpass there as the Bobs do get out on the point. Both going to be eliminated. Glister under a little bit of fire, has to jump back with the coach, going to keep himself safe. Graviton Surge comes through. 2 kills instantly there for the side of London Spitfire, but Bernard going to fall as well. They're looking for a little bit more. Rez comes out, puts Fearless back into the mix of things, but he's so far away from primal range, he might not be able to last. We will go ahead and resheath the blade as Fleta draws out one of his own. He's looking for a kill. Finally managed to find one as Shwe will fall, but he can't make it over to the Mega Pack. It just wasn't there for him. Bernard finds the kill, the first tick for the London Spitfire, getting ready to roll through. They fall down below 1.5 minutes remaining. Currently off the point for the moment. They push their way back up. Izayaki swapping over onto the Baptiste just will not last, nor will Void. The Discord over from Hiley is absolutely instrumental in the London Spitfire finding success, and they are now just 0.4% away from taking this map. They just have to clear off the point. Lee Jae-gong desperately tries to buy some time, but it just will not last long enough, and London Spitfire will be able to take Temple of Anubis. They are not going down in a 0-3 loss. They are fighting back tooth and nail. They get 1. But they still need 2 more if they want to take the series.
Yep, London Spitfire just really forcing a lot of the fights that Shanghai Dragons wanted to take out of, off of the point, honestly. Both on the attack there at the end, but on the defense previously to help shut down Shanghai's advances, forcing Izayaki to trance early in that fight so they could win that war of attrition on the point, which is what you really need to do in order to seal the deal on, what we call 2CP on the assault map type.
Yeah.
Where you just have that defender's advantage working against you so hard. Really well played. I love how they're forcing these fights away from the point, forcing ultimates out without using their own. And I think the big X factor here is Jihoon on the Wrecking Ball. His mobility and his ability to get in the back line and threaten these heroes forces Izayaki to have some awkward trances. He had 3 really that you could think of that you could go back and really look at and say, well, that was probably not where he wanted to trance, but he kind of felt like he was forced to.
Yeah.
And that was oftentimes where London was able to just walk in with their own trance and just say, well, we win. We have more healing. You can't stop us.
I mean, yeah, Jihoon especially, a bit of a night and day transition from Numbani to this. Looked fantastic on Temple of Anubis by comparison. So really strong showing for the London Spitfire. And they got the ball moving here. They need to just keep pushing it along, try to pick up the momentum. Shanghai Dragons going to be on the back foot. I am assuming that we're probably going to be seeing Lip come in for the next map. We'll get confirmation on that in just a little bit. But first, we've got a break coming up, so we'll see you in a few.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile.
Alrighty, welcome back. Things are heating up right now. London Spitfire not going down without a fight, trying to persevere in this series versus the Shanghai Dragons. They pick up a victory on Temple of Anubis, but can they keep the ball in their court? That is the question that we have that will soon be answered.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, I think there was definitely upset potential in the series. I said that before the series began. I like what London is doing. I like the compositions that we're seeing them run. Their execution of that defense on Temple of Anubis in particular was really awesome to see, where they were extremely ult efficient, took those fights off the point. But that was a map that really played to their strengths, right? We're seeing Shanghai Dragons avoid playing Genji mostly in this meta. Seems like they don't really like to play the Genji. The execution of Fleda's Genji left sometimes a little bit to be desired. So I do wonder, now that we move into a map where Lip's probably going to be back in, can London Spitfire find that same success versus potentially that Sombra composition? And we just got confirmation, literally as I was mentioning it, that Lip will be back in. So he's coming in for DM. So now I wonder, can London keep it up?
Yeah, I mean, that is the big question. Like I said, the momentum is there for them at the moment. It's just about rolling with that, not letting it slip out of their hands and fall back in for the Shanghai Dragons. With Lip coming back through, does this mean that we're going to be seeing him play the Sombra yet again, which seems like that is going to be the biggest thorn, or has been the biggest thorn in the side for the London Spitfire. So we'll have to wait and see what compositions that Shanghai are going to put together, because we know that he can also play that Atch at a very high level. But if he goes back to the Sombra, that's where things start becoming a bit more worrisome for London. Kind of forces them to run the Diva, to have that extra spy checking potential, and moves Bernard off of the Zarya that he's been looking rather strong on so far.
Yeah, the map is going to be Havana, so I think the Ashe angle is going to be a really important one. You're really going to have to control how that matchup is played. I think there's a chance that we see Shanghai just run straight Tracer Sombra, which is going to find a lot of success on A and of parts of B, but on C, like to complete the map, I think you're going to have a hard time with that composition because of the sightlines that exist there. So either Shanghai is probably going to have to run something different and put flex Lip onto the Ashe a little bit, or it might just be about their defense. If they can get a full hold on Shanghai, on London, for example, that would be another way to really close things out. There's a lot of different ways this map can go, and we'll just have to wait and see how it pans out. Havana is still one of those maps that we haven't seen very much this year, so it's not fully figured out or developed how people are going to play on it yet.
Yeah, at least not you and I. In the APAC matches, we haven't seen this too much. We also hadn't seen Nimbani. That was the first time that we had gotten to see that in quite some time. But it's really interesting to see London Spitfire just kind of fully adapt this Chengdu playstyle, this lineup of characters. And I'm really curious how much time they have been putting into practicing this, whether it's something that they just kind of tried out and it just happened to click and work super well in scrims, or if this is something that they had been, somewhat silently been practicing since the Summer Showdown ended.
I think it's probably like somewhere in the middle of those two things. I think that Shanghai's probably, or rather Chengdu's probably been scrimming it a lot. A lot of teams have probably tried it, and then most teams, I think, universally agreed. Korean teams usually kind of like almost collab, it feels like, in terms of meta building. A lot of teams who aren't playing against each other for a while talk together, and then the scrims kind of leak and get around. But I feel like probably the Korean teams kind of universally decide, like, hey, this Chengdu comp's not that great, and they kind of avoided it. But then London, after playing it a while, said, you know what, like, let's try this. Let's give this another shot. And I think that that's kind of where we're at right now, is will this comp prevail for London Spitfire? Are they going to continue to run it, or are they going to try to counter what Shanghai is doing? And, on Havana, I feel like you're cool to run the Ashe Genji Wrecking Ball. I mean, that's how Chengdu was able to bring us to that 5th map in that series against New York. It was a bit of a shock, a bit of a surprise they were able to bring us to that 5th map, but New York fell apart. And that's where this comp really started to feel like, okay, is this real? Is this good? And London Spitfire showing it to us already. So,
yep. Not too shocking here for the defense. They will have Bernard starting on the Zarya, so we'll see if Shanghai Dragons decides to pull out the Sombra here. And whether or not that'll lead to a forced swap. Now are hovering on the Echo Genji. We know that Fleta plays a pretty mean Echo.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best. We saw his stats on the pre-show, actually. I believe today on Watch Point. That's where I think that was shown.
Attackers incoming.
But he swaps to the Tracer. It's going to be the same thing. They're running the Lucio Moira variation of it, which saw great success obviously on Control. London Spitfire obviously need to be very careful. They need to spy check well, which is difficult to do with the comp they're running, like you were pointing out. You know, this might have been part of why they swapped to D.Va on Numbani. You need to make sure that Lip does not get those high-value backline hacks.
Well, Jihan, because of this Sombra, playing a bit more conservatively at the moment. Makes his way back up there. He's kind of leaping back and forth, waiting for his moment to roll in, but has to be very cautious to not get hacked and strand himself in no man's land. Into the back line goes Lip, tries to finish off Highly, gets so very close to doing so. Fleta as well in on top of this Zenyatta, trying to take him out. In the meantime, it's actually going to be Glister who falls first. Now they do finally capitalize. Get rid of Highly, get rid of Bernard. Shweet tries to drag it back into their favor, but is only able to find Leag on before getting eliminated. And Shanghai Dragons fully back in the driver's seat. That is going to be point A for them in a massive time bank to boot.
London Spitfire are going to be changing his comp a little bit too. Glister going onto the Tracer, knowing that during this phase of the map, this is where Sombra is arguably strongest. It's so difficult to play the Ashe, and it's a great swap for them already in terms of getting that first kill here. The cap was going to happen regardless, but London Spitfire could now try to solidify the high ground position they have, set up for some nice dive potential with that Genji, the Blade coming online. Really curious to see if Shui is willing to swap over to the Sombra himself after this first Blade.
Yeah, I mean, we have to see how he's feeling. Seems like he's going to be wanting to stick with the Genji, really start getting into the groove of it on Temple of Anubis, but granted, that wasn't against the Sombra. That was previously harassing him, hacking him in the middle of those blades. Blood is going to find the better of Glister this time around. The hack is there as Shui gets the Dragon Blade available, so the Shanghai Dragons will know that he has that ult ready to go. Lip, speaking of ults ready to go, does have the EMP. Goes ahead, tosses that one out. And to find just two. Nar and Shui both getting caught by that as Jihan will be hacked as he rolls forward, drops the minefield. Will be able to exit safely. Coalescence will just go ahead and help clear out the mines, and the cart continues to roll forward, getting dangerously close now to point B. And London Spitfire, how are they going to try and recontest this? They start making their way forward.
There's no health pack there.
6 HP in the back, and no one's going to be finishing off. Okay, Graviton Surge comes out. Blade goes on the back end. Sweet. Slices managed to find Leag on. Now Void looking for a little bit more. Hit comes out from the Moira. He's got 13 health, but Glister is there to ensure his safety. They finish him off, and the cart will be halted, but still so much distance given up right now.
Yeah, Fearless might not have died before he got the, when he was over there with the health pack and all, but he was essentially dead. He was essentially self-staggered Winston there.
I mean, you're just out of the fight.
Yeah, but he came back and died, and now he's reset here. We do see Void now having his own Graviton Surge almost ready. Lip's going to have an EMP in this fight. This is where it gets really tough for Lens Spitfire. They don't have a trance. Rally isn't going to be enough here, very likely. They need to get a pick. Glister is the reason why we're respecting him right now is if he gets a backline pulse bomb kill, maybe the 6v5 is how London wins this. Otherwise, it's going to be an uphill battle.
Well, yet again, the hack there on the Jihan as he tries to push forward, and you can see just the Sombra giving him such a hard time. Can't play nearly as aggressively as you would like to in those moments. EMP comes out, only going to manage to find Shui. But it is there to capitalize, so they do manage to find that kill. Rally's going to be rolling from Sanguine with the pulse bomb, perfectly timed from Glister, was waiting for Leag to pop that Rally. And he goes forward with the pulse, shuts him down. Grab, however, comes out from Void, locks up the remaining members of the London Spitfire. They try to close out this push onto B, but London still fighting back. Glister dashing through, manages to find Void, gets rid of that high-energy Zarya. That is a major reset for them, and a very nice time buy as the kills continue to come through.
Shanghai needs to be careful about staying on these fights that are clearly lost. Fleta's trying to farm Pulse Bomb, and I get it, but there's an inherent risk in doing plays like that, because if you get picked, then suddenly you lose even more time. And Shanghai has often actually depleted their own time bank by trying to win 4v5s or 3v5s because they think they have that clutch potential, and they often do, but you got to be careful about that. London Spitfire has Minefield available now, and they're going to have a trance if Shanghai doesn't get an early pick in this fight. I don't think this is Shanghai's fight to take this point. They need to be careful about how they use their ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, no trance and Shui with a Dragon Blade. This could be catastrophic for Shanghai Dragons, but London manages to find one. Glister going to be taken down. Shui barely surviving. He'll go ahead and now draws at the blade as he gets topped up. He's looking for Void. The bubble comes through. Now he's going to be hacked. Can't dash out. Sliver of HP coming through. They will be able to keep him alive, but the blade is nullified. They don't manage to find much. And it seems like that's just going to have to be point B surrendered. They do chew up a decent amount of time off that bank, but still 245 now for Shanghai Dragons with 4 ultimates ready to roll.
And when you see these fights for Flood, it just, he finds kills, ultless, with nothing else used. It's like, well, you can't blame him for playing the way he does, right? Because so many times he will just kill someone. It's such an incredible Tracer player. I mean, he has no fear. He's always got his blink charges ready, he can escape, but he just walks into these moments. EMP is ready,
EMP.
Highly needs to be careful.
Yeah, he's got the Transcendence ready to go, so as long as he times it properly, he keeps himself safe. Transcendence will come through, but Glister's already going to be taken down. There's no saving him. He's getting chunked down to about half HP. Flutter holding onto the pulse bomb. Graviton Surge is lobbed in from Bernard, but no one can play forward enough to try to capitalize on any kills. This Transcendence was there anyway from Izayaki, so keeps everybody topped up. A bit wanting from Bernard, but at least does get that ult out of the way, so now there's no Transcendence available as Shmet gets ready to go for the Dragon Blade. Has that one online. Leag gone with a rally, is going to have to try and dissuade him, keep everybody topped up, but Lister has that Pulse Bomb ready to go as well for the Brigitte in all likelihood.
Yeah, this is London's, they should take this fight. They need to take this fight.
Blade is out into the back line, finds Izayaki, does get hacked. As the Mega Pack keeps himself alive for the moment, but still needs a bit of an exit plan. Start pushing forward, he goes up over the top, doesn't get the opportunity to dash back to safety.
I don't know about that. Overextension.
Lip finds the kill.
Yeah.
Still plethora of ultimates here for the London Spitfire, but they have to make sure this card doesn't continue to advance. Primal Rage going to be popped by Fearless. Minefield from Jihun takes down Void, so a very crucial pick, and you can see the Focus Fire going in onto Fearless as he fights inside that little room there. Nearly got taken down. With the Fleeting Force back, this will delay the EMP for a little bit longer. And Highly will have the Transcendence ready to go for that EMP.
This is a very stressful time for Shanghai Dragons, actually. Now they're kind of stuck with this EMP fight, but I mean, yeah, but I think as long as Highly doesn't get baited into a trance, which is Fleta's been able to successfully do a few times, I think that Highly just trances this EMP and they're in a great spot. Like, this is actually, the ball's in Shanghai's court. They don't have a lot of great tools here. Fleta needs to make a play.
Lip nearly got finished off there as he tries to get the EMP ready to go. Will have it up now. As we see the ball coming out now from Fearless, makes his way into the back line with a pile driver, but takes so much damage, and Highly, the shots are perfect from him. Completely just tracks his movement. Lip is in the back, waiting for his moment.
It's too late,
He's
even
ready
if he
to go,
gets
but
Highly.
yeah, so many people are going to be dead. He's going to have to touch here, and then he's going to have to translocate out. Trying to get back in. They spy check him, EMP, he's got to use it in a panic. Manages to get Highly, but they can't get the kill onto him. The EMP hack will go ahead and expire. And Highly is still going to be sitting pretty with that Transcendence ready to go. Seems like he won't have to use it. Fleta gets rid of one with a Pulse Bomb. We eliminated. They tag it for a little bit longer. The grab comes through, and no one can really make their way over onto the card. They finally managed to push in, but as the Transcendence expires, Izayaki will fall. The OT will bleed away. Nicely done by the London Spitfire. They successfully stave off the Shanghai Dragons from completing Havana, but they still made it pretty damn far.
Yeah, I mean, you could see Shanghai Dragons, right? They swapped Fearless over to the Wrecking Ball, and they're trying to force a trance out of Highly. You could see that, right? You could watch it happen, right? But before our eyes. Highly's so far back onto, I mean, he's on the sea itself, whereas the rest of Spitfire is fighting on the bridge. And you see this commitment with Fearless come through. Fleta's kind of pushed away. He can't really get back there. There's very poor coordination around the Wrecking Ball dive to try to force the trance out so Lip can hit this insane EMP. And you could see the Discord Orb comes on to Fearless, and he dies instantly. It looks like, wait, what was the plan there? You could see they were trying to force the trance on Highly so they could get the EMP value, but it's like they never really played that comp before. It felt like they were just trying to do it because they were desperate. I think that was really the case there. But I think we're learning a little bit about Shanghai here. It's like, okay, well, they're just not willing to run this Wrecking Ball comp. They know they're not great at it. They haven't practiced it that much. And that was, I think, a very telling moment. And as they do lock in Fearless on this Wrecking Ball once again for the defense, they're gonna be tested once again on this Wrecking Ball Zarya comp. Now, it's not the Genji Ashe variation, so it's not the Chengdu comp, but it's their own Wrecking Ball variation. The execution on that last attempt on C was fairly weak. And remember I said, that was going to be where Shanghai was going to have a lot of success with the Sombra. They couldn't find that EMP value, and I'm a little bit worried about them running this Wrecking Ball. Let's see if they can have strong execution here, because the last attempt with Fearless was not, you know, it's not as good as what we've seen from Chengdu and not as good as what we've seen from London.
Yeah. Well, Lip hovering way in the back there, just looking for the scouting report. They're going to take that orb to the dome, but will be all right for the time being. Dynamite going to be tossed forward, doesn't get the connection that he was looking for as Highly nearly gets picked off in the back line, but is kept alive. Good response from Sanguinar. Get that pocket healing coming through. Push back there onto Fearless, make sure that he can't get that pile driver damage in, and he takes quite a bit in return. The squad orb targets have been absolutely phenomenal from Highly tonight, and the response has been even more phenomenal. Everybody just turning their attention to whichever target he's calling out. Hack will go out onto Glister, but he's not the one under fire. It's going to be Bernard. He cannot stay alive. Fleta manages to find the kill.
Yeah, a little bit
Zarya
split up.
gone. That's going to be a really big window for Void to try and excel here, push forward and get that Graviton Surge up first and foremost.
Yeah, Shui, Jihoon were split up. They got that kill, that opening kill, obviously onto Bernard. And now they're going to have to reset and try to push back forward, but the EMP is going to be, I mean, it's almost a guaranteed team fight here for the Shanghai Dragons. They may even hold it if they, you know, if the London Spitfire are just playing as slow like they are right now. So
something has to go catastrophically wrong for them to lose this fight.
I mean, there's no Brigida, there's no way to stun out of the EMP. It's going to go off as long as Lip doesn't mess it up. Not to cast or curse him or anything, because he got a few of those weird ones this season. But
yeah,
he's at a good angle here. Like, he's just waiting for the good one. He's like, oh, free team fight win whenever I want. All I have to do is press Q.
Way into the back, EMP comes through, gets a solo hit onto Highly, but he's got to translocate out. It's actually going to be Shui who gets taken down, and Highly will survive, but finding Jihoon as well means that the team fight is still very much won by the Shanghai Dragons. So
it's incredible. Highly lived too.
Yeah,
he lived with like 7 health or something.
Yeah, it was down a single digit for sure.
I mean,
I mean, look at the war chest right now for the Shanghai Dragons. 5 ults.
This is, you know, EMP gives you so much ult efficiency. It's crazy, and you get to wait till the last possible second when London's going forward to use it.
Now the hack is there on the Highly. Glister under a bit of fire. Mix of Lip and Fleta for a very dangerous duo. Bob comes through from Glister, but he'll be taken down by the minefield grab, locking the rest of the members up. The Transcendence is out, however, to keep them all topped up, and that allows for Sanguinar to get a res, putting Glister back in the fight, so still 6-man strong. Tweed rolls out the Dragon Blade, starts looking for some targets, jumps over, but Fleta dashes away, keeping himself safe, and the Transcendence is there for Mizuyaki as well to mitigate the rest of the damage. Grab from Bernard, however, locks up a couple members, and Fleta and Void will both fall. This could be the big breakthrough moment here for the London Spitfire to get their way over onto A. Still a good amount of time chewed up for the Shanghai Dragons, though. They're going to be taking London Spitfire down under a minute before they can roll in.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the EMP doesn't come online in time. The window of ultimates being in the favor of London Spitfire was, I mean, it was small, but they, you know, just slid right underneath before it closed.
Okay, this could be costly.
Yeah, that was definitely a misfire here. I mean, they wanted to contest, but the timing was wrong, and it didn't look like the rest of the team was coming with Fearless. I have to say, I feel like Fearless just looks a little bit uncomfortable on Wrecking Ball overall. Not that he's playing badly or anything like that. He just doesn't look... I mean, he's God tier on the Rhine. He's God tier on the Winston. Wrecking Ball, you know, looks like just slightly above average.
Yeah.
That's an annoying door.
It's a dangerous spot for Highly to be in, especially if Fleta can get onto that flank as well. Double collapse onto the Zenyatta, and then he will almost certainly fall, and there it is. Fleta comes in from the side. They manage to cut him down, but Shui capitalizes, getting a bit of vengeance here for his support. His lift will get taken down, and the res is there from Sanguinar. He's been pretty on the spot with those. Void popped out and eliminated, and this is yet again looking good for the London Spitfire to gain some ground.
Yeah. I have to say, like, I feel like the trade-off here is risky because you commit 2 players to kill a Zen who doesn't even have trance. But during that moment, London Spitfire wins a 5v4 fight because they have 5 people on the point, you have 4. And by the time your squishy dive heroes get back, the fight is over, the front line has lost the battle.
Fearless trying to survive. Slowly getting topped up, goes in. That's going to be the EMP coming through, manages to catch out 4 members as the minefield gets dropped in. Sanguinar does fall, and Shanghai Dragons seems like they will be able to snag control of this card, at least for the moment. Shui trying to exit. He's got that Dragon Blade ready to go. Tries to make his way into the back, but actually, Fearless going to be taken down, overstepped. Like you said, a little bit out of sorts with a Wrecking Ball, so needs to learn his boundaries, especially when playing against Zenyatta's and one as good as Highly, because he's been phenomenal so far tonight.
Exactly. He
to
keeps
find
getting
that kill.
discorded, and he's having trouble surviving through that. On the Winston, he knows his limits. It feels a little bit better.
Let's hear from Izayaki. The Dragon Blade cuts that one down. Swit immediately getting rid of the ultimate. Looking for another target, but everybody just pulling back very quickly, trying to elude him. They do manage to do so, with Fearless staying alive. At the retreat way into the back, but now we'll be looking to rejoin over towards the front. Sound Barrier comes in, catches 5 members on the side of the Shanghai Dragons to try to keep them in the fight. Flood up gets a kill onto Highly. Couldn't use that Transcendence to try and stay alive, but they're fighting back on the London Spitfire. They find 2 in return, now 3 as Fearless falls. No front line, no flood, and now no Leag gone. Graviton Surge ensuring that last kill to come through. Cart should be able to move forward into B now.
Yeah, Bernard's got high energy. They're going to have a decent time bank here. They have the counter to the EMP. The London Spitfire is in a really good position here to force that 5th map. You know, in Shanghai, they have the EMP, right? That's the big tool they have. They're going to have a minefield soon. And they have distance, right, that the London Spitfire have to go through. They've got time to build more ultimates, get a second EMP, for example. They need to turn this ult advantage, this EMP into an ult advantage tempo swing. Like, they need to force the trance to win the fight. Then they can hold.
Drop down. Not going to be able to find much of anything. Push forward. The 6 there. He knows he doesn't have the fade. Manages to get rid of Izayaki. Double-struck into the back. Not going to be able to find anything. They tried to deny the remake there onto Void, but they're unable to do so. Couldn't quite get on top of that Baby Diva in time. Leag on in the meantime, however, going to get rolled over. Jihun finding the kill and Flutta whiffing that stick from the pulse bombs. It doesn't manage to find a kill.
He needs to regroup. Like, they can't. If Flutta can't be playing these solo queue games right now when London Spitfire is rolling towards the finishing the map, going to a 5th game.
It's one of those moments where if he gets a stick, it's really good, but because he misses it, it's really bad. Now they don't have that to try and get rid of. I mean, ideally you want to hold that to try and delete Sanguinar as he pops the rally.
If he gets it, it's okay. Like, but if he loses it, it's really bad, right? And they lose time, they lose distance, and you know, London Spitfire, they still hold the trance, right? Lip's looking for that backline. He gets it.
Yep, manages to get rid of Highly. Can't use the Transcendence in time. Flutta going to be taken down, but this is still going to have to be a retreat call here for the London Spitfire. One final fight. Try to push this one through. A couple extra meters. Jihun just trying to get that minefield available. Will have it for the next attack. And obviously will be able to make it back to the card as he doesn't have very far to run.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously, that looks silly, I think, from a layman's perspective, but actually, you know, Wrecking Ball, you get back so fast, there's no distance really to cover here. Now, they didn't force the trance and win the fight, so look at London Spitfire. They have 4 ultimates here, soon to be 5, and in the longer fight, they will get the grab, and Bernard with the trance will get high energy.
It's only
this is
a
going to be
rally.
a really hard fight for Shanghai. Yeah, they've only got a rally. It's a really hard fight for them.
Lip already forced the translocate, but Izayaki finds a huge kill, gets rid of Glister. Minefield's going to be dropped down here onto the high ground. The Dragon Blade now coming through. Void going to be cut down, looking for a little bit more, but a great shield bash is there from Leag gone. Gets rid of Shui. Sanguinar on the other coin, however, does manage to find Fearless. Rally going to be expiring. Izayaki pops the Transcendence, keeping everybody topped up over near the cart. Leag gone tossing out those armor packs into the back. Trying to keep his teammates sustained and trying to rejoin into the fight. Lip, discorded, falling low, eliminated. Highly finds the kill. There's a grab available from Bernard. He dumps it moments before he dies, but can they get the cleanup? Highly manages to find one, and it's all or nothing right now for the London Spitfire in this series. Glister coming back in, has a pulse bomb available. Fearless going to be eliminated. Sweep falling low. Minefield dumped out over onto the cart. 2.25 meters left to go as Jihun tries to stay alive. The minefield will clean up one. The pulse bomb gets the last one, and London Spitfire are keeping the dream alive. They get the victory on Havana, and now we have a map number 5 to decide it all.
I mean, using the ult there, like, this is going to sound crazy, but I feel like using the ult the way that we saw Lip use it, where he EMP'd on top of Highly to get the kill there, might have actually been the wrong choice, because if he gets to keep the trance, they get that exact fight where they have trance, and it's like, how can Bernard not get grab? I think he was, what, like 45, maybe 48% before that fight. He gets a grab with the trance out. He gets high energy. He does insane damage on the point. You've got the grab there with a huge pile drive potential set up there with Jihun on the Wrecking Ball. And the fight just goes London's way on the point. Sure, if they all die, or someone gets picked early in the fight, then maybe they just don't. They lose out the spawn disadvantage, which I think is what Shanghai was kind of hoping was going to happen there. But I think they needed to get trance and win the fight. Like, they needed to force Highly to trance and win the fight. They couldn't do both. And you get this knife's edge fight where the trance just empowers Bernard so much. And London bring us to that 5th and final map. I told you, for once I'm right. I mean, I think it's going to be a close series. Don't underestimate London. And then it doesn't work out. But this time.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a very swingy series. You know, super close at the start. Nimbani looks atrocious from London Spitfire, but now they've been bringing it back. A nail biter there at the end of Havana, and we have another round of control to decide it all. So if it's anything like Oasis was, I really don't know who's going to be able to take it. We've got a quick little break coming up, and then Map 5 to decide this series. Don't go anywhere. It just keeps getting more and more insane as time goes on, and you do not want to miss it.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back. Things continue to heat up here in this series. London Spitfire now just one map away from pulling off a reverse sweep over the Shanghai Dragons. It has been absolute insanity. Nail-biter team fights coming through, but London has somehow persevered to lead us to this 5th and final map. The question now becomes, can they pull it off, or will this end in a heartbreaker, you know, getting so close to getting that reverse sweep and then dropping the ball?
2 losses. All Shanghai has lost in regular season, and London could be the 3rd team to do it. It was
they could be.
Seoul and Guangzhou, if I remember correctly. Might have been Chengdu. I know Seoul took a series off of them.
One was Chengdu, yeah.
Yeah, it was Chengdu and Seoul. So London will be the 3rd team to defeat them in regular season this year. If they're able to bring this reverse sweep back. You go back to the first control map we had, as we're actually heading into Nepal this time, but if you go back to the first control map we had on Oasis, it was very close. There were definitely some moments where London could have stolen the win back versus the Sombra play, and for example, if you remember the first round, the Sombra didn't work out, they lost control of the point first, and Liv just wasn't building EMP charge. Partially because of, now we know as the series has progressed, partially because he's not really farming EMP, he's actually looking for backline hacks to convert into eliminations rather than trying to just set up for EMP team fights. He's playing a different win condition than a lot of Sombras are right now. So I think London's kind of starting to figure out this play style. Hailey has been a lot more safe in terms of his positioning. They're not spy checking perfectly or anything like that, but I feel like Hailey is really just making a case for, well, if I just stay with my Brigida, like, you can't kill me, or if you do kill me, it's going to be a trade.
Whether it's the Brigida or the Mercy coming through from Sanguinar, either way, he's constantly been there to pocket him and peel for him. And it's been pretty fantastic to watch. Hailey has been, you know, in my mind right now, if London can close this out, the front runner for player of the match, perhaps, because he's just had some extremely high impact plays. So it's been phenomenal to watch him so far on that Zenyatta, and right now on Nepal, as we start things off on Shrine, seems like we're just going to be getting more of that sweet Zenyatta action.
Yeah, seems that way. Sanguinar showing the Lucio here, but yeah, I was going to say I don't think that they want to run all that. I don't think we're going to have a main tankless Sigma Zarya. Yeah, I mean, we have seen it like once or twice already, but yep, just going to be the teleport in the Genji, so yep. No Ashe here. Because there's like, you know, there's space for an Ashe, but it's not the greatest here. I feel like it's just too risky.
Well, they make their way over towards the point. Shui, of course, in the Genji. Glister going to be matching Toda with the Tracer. Leag does stick through with the Lucio, you know, his most famous pickup, but that is always very risky when going up against a Zenyatta like Hailey. You get that Discord Orb on you. If he can track you well enough, you will just get destroyed. You can see a bubble going to have to be used on the Leag to keep him safe as he goes into the back line. Looking to harass. Fearless gets discorded, nearly eliminated. Good focus healing coming through from the Shanghai Dragons supports to keep him alive, and Bernard is actually going to be left on the dry. Let's get taken down as Lip managed to find back-to-back headshot kills onto the Zarya and then the Genji. So already going to be building up very nicely towards that first EMP. Sunkin comes in onto Fearless, looks to get rid of Hailey, and with the help of Toda, they will be able to do so. So Shanghai Dragons, they win the first fight. They already have the lockdown on the point, and they're moving up above 20%.
Yeah, it's really fun when we get to see Lip in his first-person view, or his even over-the-shoulder view, where you get to see how a lot of Sombras would just turn and shoot at Jihoon or Bernard because it's just going to get you ult charge, and it's super easy, and you get a fast EMP. But you can just see he's looking for squishy targets. He's looking for hack targets, and he's finding so many of those targets. Now he's only 20% of the way away from EMP, so you might just look to finish that, but he's being so scary, so terrifying on the Sombra again. Look, he's trying to look for Glister, gets him, and that's a kill.
Manages to find him, and there's 3 people who instantly pile in on top of Glister to ensure that he does not survive that. They take him down. That's just going to be extra time bought here for the side of London Spitfire. Glister just now respawning. Wait a couple more seconds for him to rejoin and to get some of those blink charges back up before London can think about committing to the fight. They do have the Transcendence to try to ensure Shui's survival. That is not a
tough name to cast.
Yeah, definitely not the easiest, especially when you have all that alliteration going on. Hailey does manage to find Izayaki. Transcendence comes out, however, from Hailey. Perfectly timed to keep everybody alive through the EMP. The hack now expiring, and Lip going to be gone. They need a bit more than that, though, to try and turn the fight. You can see Toda on the hunt with a pulse bomb ready to go. Does manage to find Hailey. But Bernard picks up 2 kills, the flip will come in, but Shanghai Dragons, they buy themselves a ton of percentage, 90% on the board for them, and 4 ultimates ready to go for the recontest.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The EMP wasn't the greatest, and it was definitely not the fight they wanted to use the EMP with. I think they wanted to look for an EMP into the sound barrier trade. Doesn't work out that way. London Spitfire have their own set of ultimates, though, too. They're just missing that trance to shut down Void's Grab. Void's Grab is the scariest part of this.
Cole just going to be coming through, clears off the mines. Their way up the flank. It's going to be the Graviton Surge coming through, and Bernard going to be taken down before he can get his own grab online. Shui falling low as the Dragon Blade comes through. The sound barrier there from Leag on as well to ensure their survival. But the Spitfire still hold on to the point, at least for now. Glister, however, going to make sure they hold it for a little bit longer. Gets rid of Toda, and Fearless falls to Shui. Glister himself will be taken out as Lip manages to find that one, and another EMP is well on its way. Shanghai might just be able to stick into this fight. Shui gets hacked, Lip finds the kill. EMP about to be online. The flip is there for the Shanghai Dragons, now at 96%. Somebody from the London Spitfire is going to have to tag this point. They manage to make their way forward as Void gets discorded. Jihoon off the side, falls low, has to exit. EMP comes through, Glister disappears, can't use the pulse bomb. OT ticks away. The grab over onto the side, looking for a kill on the Leag gone. They will manage to find it. Sanguinar finishing him off, and then gets punched with a pulse bomb from Toda. Hailey gets rid of Lip. They little bit more to the London Spitfire as they try to get this flip back into their favor, but it seems like this is in the hands of the Shanghai Dragons. As Fearless is here gatekeeping with that Primal Rage. They zone everybody back. Not nearly as close as we saw on Oasis, but London Spitfire is still very much present in this series. 148% Shrine goes to Shanghai.
And this is such a mental game that that you have to play if you're Spitfire. Like, in a, how do I say this? You're under threat of hack all the time. You want to spy check, but you know, normally the hack targets are Sanguinar and Hylie, right? The backline, the supports. If you hack a Brigida, she can't bash anyone who comes to kill her. You hack a Zenyatta, you know, then he can't trance, he can't escape, he gets killed. But actually, Lip is doing a great job of hacking the frontline DPS targets. The two targets that need mobility more than anyone else, the Tracer and the Genji. You hack Genji, who's trying to farm Blade, he can't dash out, and then you have the team being so ready to collapse in and kill. It means you have to play safe as a Genji, but that's not what you want, because then you can't build blades. It's something that gets into your head on a map like this when, you know, Lipis is constantly threatening the front line even because of how he can shut down that ability. You've got to stop him, you've got to interrupt those hacks.
Oh, bubble out on a Fearless as he leaps forward. Shui starts zapping away. Jihun barely keeping alive there for the moment. As Glister manages to find the first blood, and Lip will be taken down as well. So no DPS members available for the side of the Shanghai Dragons, means that London Spitfire should very easily get the lockdown here onto the point. Pile Driver goes in, just going to be met by Void's bubble as they look for the kill, and they will be able to find it, completely resetting his energy. A very nice punish there from the London Spitfire. Siaki does manage to find Sanguinar.
London
napping on the job, it would seem.
Both the DPSs, Fleta and Lip, went for the chase there. They both went low. They were fighting over the same Mega Pack, you could see. Yeah. And then they both got taken out, so it becomes a 6v4 fight on the point that favors them. And now they have ult advantages across the board. The Coalescence isn't going to do you as much good in this case on the attack. It's definitely going to be how they open this one, though.
It's a really good start for the London Spitfire. Pulse Bomb coming out from Glister, gets a stick. Fearless going to be taken down, but Bernard goes off the side of the map. Not quite sure what happened there, but either way, will not be present, will not be building up towards that Graviton Surge. And taking a look at the HP bars here for the London Spitfires, they're completely in shambles. Jihun going to be eliminated.
So unfortunate.
Yeah, Hylie just going to have to hold on to that Transcendence, not worth popping in the fight.
You really want to save, you know, you want to force the EMP when you lose the point. You want to build up, obviously, 50% plus. You're looking for like an 80% if you're in this case. Look at the spy checking, how hard it is for Bernard. He misses it, all of it. Now he thinks he's safe, but he's wrong. He's not.
Yeah, still has to be really cautious. The tech goes in for the moment. Glister trying to find him. They beam him out. Does force the translocator. Good job there from London. As Jihun gets hacked and Glister falls low. They're trying to keep that Wrecking Ball alive, but there's just too much damage. He's in the side room. Can't get that Mega Pack. It does get taken down. Now he's going to have to rejoin. Sport Orb out on the Fearless, but he still has that Primal Rage. Lip barely eludes death. Sanguinar was ready with a shield flash to try and lock down that Sombra.
He's so patient. He has so many opportunities to just kill the backline on his Spitfire, hack Hylie, but he just waits. He wants to do it the last second. He wants to get the most control percentage possible.
Minefields out on the point here from Jihun. Starting them back as he starts to get the cap rolling through for London. 62% at the moment here for the Shanghai Dragons. Hylie going to be taken down. Can't use the Transcendence now. Sanguinar going to be eliminated as well. There's no supports, but maybe it doesn't matter. London Spitfire looking to turn this one around. Shui with a Dragon Blade out is looking for another target. Doesn't want to go for the Angry Scientist, so we'll go ahead and exit. And then the turnaround comes in for the Shanghai Dragons. Now at 76%, continuing to move upward. Jihun gets rid of Void, but gets hacked as a sliver of HP, so is effectively dead in the fight. It will be finished off there at the end. Lip finding that final blow. 3 ultimates still here for the side of the Shanghai Dragons. London Spitfire nearly have 3 of their own, but they have to win this fight.
If London won that last fight with the ult advantage that they just gained, they probably would be bringing us to a 3rd round. They'd have so many advantages, but now even touching the point is going to be a challenge. Look at Jihun, he's going to be the one to do it. Actually, Glister first. They do collapse in.
There. Pile Driver coming down. Rallies rolling from Sanguinar at the moment. Void uses that grab. Locks down Jihun as they look to get the solo kill. Transcendence going to be burned by Hylie to go ahead and ensure his safety and that he can survive. But the EMP is now there from Lip, and he manages to catch both damage dealers from the side of the London Spitfire. Bernard falling low, yet again goes off the side of the map. What is going on with this man right now? Either way, Hylie gets a kill on the Floodhead, but they need a lot more than that to do the London Spitfire if they want to turn this around. They're starting to get the cap on the point, but Void manages to strike down Shui. Glister is gone, and they just cannot stay glued to the point. It was so close. London Spitfire trying to pull off the reverse sweep. They force the map 5, but they can't even force it to a third round of Nepal. That is the end of the series. Shanghai Dragons still do stay on top.
I think we learned more about Shanghai than we learned about London in this series. For London, it felt like it's another team to put, the hand forward and give the thumbs up to the Chengdu comp right now. But
yeah,
the execution was pretty good. Highly played a great game as Zenyatta. But for Shanghai, I think we learned that when they're pushed out of their comfort zone a little bit, when DM was subbed in and they tried to run the Ashe composition, Ashe Genji, there was a little bit of rockiness there. Also, Fearless on the Wrecking Ball, a little bit of rockiness there, right? I feel like if Shanghai were capable of running the Chengdu comp, I think they would have been doing it a little bit more often. They felt most comfortable when Lip was on the Sombra and they were getting those backline hacks.
Yeah, I mean, still dangerously close in some of these fights. London, almost able to scrape it by, but Shanghai Dragons were able to persevere. And a lot of those plays, a lot of the reasons why they were able to survive was on these backline picks that were coming through from our player of the match presented by Xfinity, which is Fleta. You saw some fantastic coordination from both he and Lip, constantly just giving Highly and Sanguinar such a rough time.
Yeah, I mean, Fleta is one of those players that I feel like Fleta's mentality is at an all-time high right now. He just doesn't care about what the situation in the game is. He doesn't care about his own life. He has no fear about potentially getting picked. You and I got confirmation. Bernard got knocked off by Leag on, and because he right-clicked,
he
right-clicked to try to bounce back up. Yeah, he used the self bubble, but he tried to right-click to bounce back up, and he hit himself. I think that's why it said he fell to his death instead of getting Elim there. But I don't know if you guys saw that, but we just saw that. But I was just going to say, Fleta, he does his own thing, right? He turns fights by himself. He carries team fights. If you get a single kill, he's just so mechanically gifted on the Tracer that he's going to chase you all the way back to spawn and get kills the whole way. Incredible tracking on this player. And I look at how this is being played right now for London Spitfire, and I think, well, you guys were kind of arguably running the better comp, but they couldn't deal with Lip's really insane hacking. The follow-up from Fleta was always there. And Lip's kind of unique playstyle in Sombra might be something we see a little bit more of going forward.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, maybe both of these compositions are something that we're going to be seeing more of. Get the Sombra back into the mix for some of the other teams, as well as more teams potentially picking up on the Chengdu comp. Either way, a heartbreaking loss for the London Spitfire, but I think that they should still be proud of how far they took that series. A lot of people, especially after Numbani, would have just completely written them out of this one. I myself was saying, okay, this looks like this is just going to be a 3-0. Let's get ready to move on to the final series of the night. But they managed to keep their heads in the game. They almost brought it back from the brink to pull off that reverse sweep. So I think that they should still feel very proud about that and just take this series and learn from it and try to adapt around the Sombra play that gave them so much of a hard time. But Wolf, we're not done yet. We have another series here today, tonight, whatever you want to call it. It's almost 5 a.m. here in Los Angeles. But we do have the NYXL
here, so it's night
going.
For me too.
Yeah, that's true. We do have the NYXL getting ready to go up against the Guangzhou Charge. And, I mean, we kind of already anticipate this series to be a pretty interesting one. These guys have clashed many times before, and it's usually delivered some pretty close sets. I think the last time they played against each other, it went to map 5. So maybe we could just have that in all 3 series today. We're going to find out in a bit. We'll see you for that series in just a few.